Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel jam si Wave.
Yo, Abla, yo luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello? Ano lay waxal?
Bësal mu fine.
What?
Bësal mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. Ak Wave. Bësal mu fine. Wave. Your money is yours.
July 22nd, 2025, a date that used to be honored in this country with a national holiday, but which continues to evoke painful memories for some. Tomorrow, on Coffee Time with Peter Gomez, I'll be talking to the son of a Ghanaian victim of the disgraced former dictator of this country. So that's a conversation not to be missed tomorrow, Wednesday, the 23rd. But back to today, and for the next 1 hour or so, we have with us the Minister of Information Broadcasting and Media. I should rearrange the wording, Information, Media and Broadcasting, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. Always looking happy first thing on a Tuesday morning. What makes you happy?
Well, we live in a happy country.
Oh, is it?
And I think
we were ranked, what, 4th?
There is this index called the National Happiness Index, if I get it right, or the National, I can't remember. But I need to find out where we are.
Is it the one Finland always tops?
Yes, Finland and mostly Iceland tops it.
Yeah. Or is it Iceland?
Mostly the Scandinavian
one
countries.
Of these cold countries.
Scandinavian countries tops it. Just like how they measure the national something index. I think they measure it anyway, about how happy a country's citizens are. I think we would be one of the countries in the continent that are very happy. Despite the challenges, these challenges can be collective, they can be individual. But I think by and large, because of the peace we have in this country and the stability, and because we have a government that doesn't really encroach and intimidate the citizens or the netizens. Unlike Gambia today, we have two spaces. We are engaging both in the physical space, but also we are engaging in the virtual space. And this has also created its own ways of engagement, its own dangers, its own opportunities, and also its own citizens. We call it netizens, that is those who operate online. Yesterday I was listening to BBC Radio 4 in the morning, and then I was listening to a very interesting story about the rise of ransomware. And in the UK, it is said that every day, this is the National Cybersecurity Council is saying that every day there is a case of ransomware where some unscrupulous elements steal or take into ransom people's private data, asking for money. Otherwise, they'll release that data. Now, then I thought, before we used to do physical ransom, if you want money, I'll go and take Peter Gomez and kidnap him and hide him and ask for money. But now people are not doing that anymore. And because we've gone online now, the virtual space, it has created new dangers and new opportunities. Now people steal data and ask for money. And I was thinking, the Gambia, and I think we thank the Digital Economy Ministry, they have a cybersecurity strategy, they have a cybersecurity committee, and we're also ahead of the game in terms of making sure that we protect our citizens online.
How sure are you we're ahead of it?
Yes, and also we are also, I just took a bill to Parliament called the Data Protection and Privacy Bill, which will be passed hopefully in September, all geared towards protecting the privacy and data of citizens in this country. So we are going to come up with new legal frameworks to make sure that this happens, because as we move online, as we buy online, as we commerce online, as we date online, as we make friends online, as we learn online, it means that now we have a lot of online activity and we leave a lot of data. Before, if I go to the market and buy fruit from the market fruit seller, and nobody's there, it's only him or her and myself who only knows what I bought. It could be anything. But now whatever I buy online, I leave a footprint. I leave people know what
you leave a trail.
I leave a trail, and people know my patterns, the things I watch. Sometimes you can be amazed that you'll talk about, I want about Peter Gomez, and you go to TikTok, Peter Gomez video comes. This has happened many times.
Just by mentioning?
Yeah. Oh. I've mentioned people their names in a conversation, and when I go on TikTok, the first thing I see is their video.
Seriously?
I've mentioned about a particular product I want to buy, and I go on Facebook, that product pops up. This is how serious we are. This is how serious it is. So we need to be ready, and we are ready as a government. We have our strategy in place to understand our citizens now are moving and transacting and engaging online, and we need to protect them, their data and their privacy, and we are working on those legal frameworks.
All right. Dr. Ceesay, just warming up before he actually gets into the nitty-gritty of his presence here this morning, and that always starts with you giving us an update.
Yes, a very important update. Last week, between the 16th and the 18th of July, there was a cabinet retreat commissioned. The government of the Gambia had a cabinet retreat. The retreat was convened by His Excellency the President Adama Barrow. It's a 3-day retreat. Remember, if you could recall, in January there was a similar retreat where ministers, sector ministers, were supposed to come and present to cabinet. There are 5 key deliverables for this year.
5?
5 each, minimum 5 deliverables for this year.
Okay.
Now the purpose of this is to tell cabinet what your sector is, what are your priorities for the 2025. Now, this is a follow-up to that, to hold ministers accountable for those promised deliverables, see how far you've gone with those deliverables. So each minister is supposed to now come and present to say, okay, I came in January and said these are my deliverables, how far have I gone with this? And by and large, and on average, I think most ministers are above, way ahead of their target, scoring over 50% in terms of the progress of implementation of their deliverables. We're meeting again in October to still see, because the president in his speech makes it very clear that he wants performance, but he also wants impact, performance that can impact people's lives. And this was when he was delivering his speech, and he said that delivery is at the heart of our work that we do as a government. Now, the cabinet retreat was very important because it focused on key national priorities and policy alignments across ministries. So ministers engaged in in-depth discussions. But the most important and the most crucial thing, Peter, is that this cabinet retreat reveals how government now is focusing on either building or strengthening what I call the 3 I's.
What are the 3 I's?
Infrastructure, institutions, and instruments. Now, we are not saying they don't exist, but there are gaps. But some infrastructure have been decaying. Some institutions have eroded over time and are not fit for purpose anymore in light of current circumstances. But some instruments are either not existing or also outdated. Now, as a new democracy, what the president is focusing on is what we call foundational development, building the foundations of development so that the next government that comes, whoever that person might be, is going to build on top of these foundations. That is why we start with infrastructure. In fact, in the presentations, you could see that ministers had a variety of deliverables. Some are more developmental infrastructural focus. Some are more governance instruments, like, for example, acts, regulations that don't exist. I'll give you examples. Let's look at infrastructure, for example. The roads. We're building road infrastructure. We're building, and I don't even need to go into the details. We've talked about that. What the president built within 8 years is much more than what the 3 governments, the British, the Jawara, and the Jama government built combined in terms of road infrastructure. And we are seeing that is visible. Let's look at schools, 6,000 classrooms since he came to power, over 10 classrooms a week we are building across all the country. Let's look at healthcare facilities. We're building healthcare facilities. Currently, the Njao hospital is being built. It's done soon, and other hospitals will build across the country. Let's look at defense infrastructure. it's very important. Currently, we've procured high-class, modern defense equipment to modernize our defense, but also renovated most of the barracks and building new blocks in some barracks so that our military officers can live in dignity.
I'd like more information about the defense infrastructure.
Yeah.
What did you buy?
Now, in fact, to enhance the morale and welfare and operational readiness of armed forces personnel, the construction of modern and adequate military accommodation is underway. This initiative aims to significantly improve the living and working conditions of soldiers, thereby fostering great discipline, unit cohesion, and overall effectiveness in the execution of military services. But what we bought, again, this is modernizing the defense. We've procured military logistics, particularly armored personnel carriers. Sometimes you see them once in a while, but these are very powerful, highly sophisticated.
What they call APCs.
APCs. And this is a strategic move to strengthen national defense capabilities. That is why the government has prioritized the procurement of military logistics, including these APCs. These assets are very critical in enhancing troop mobility, force protection, and rapid response to security threats, ultimately contributing to broader goal of ensuring national security and stability. But also, there are also legal frameworks to support this, to protect our critical infrastructure. Because as a country expands, you get expanded critical infrastructure, energy infrastructure, your aviation infrastructure, your marine infrastructure. We are coming up with legal frameworks to protect it. But even sports infrastructure, I'm aware that the Ministry of Youth and Sports has allocated a huge chunk of land in Lamen last week. The allocation is complete to build a new stadium, promoting sports infrastructure as well. So infrastructure-wise, the government is doing well to build the foundations. Energy infrastructure, we are modernizing our grid. We are focused on energy generation through energy transition to go solar. So that when the next government comes already, and the president has made a commitment which he will achieve, and which the government will achieve, by the end of 2025, there will be universal access to electricity. That is, every community in the Gambia will get access to electricity. So electricity will not be an issue. That is, the foundation is there. Water infrastructure. Recently, we inaugurated this project in Sifo, which will provide water to almost over 1 million Gambians in urban Gambia. Now, we also look at the institutions. We're building the processes. We are building oversight regulations. We are building the systems. And also we are making sure that we are also strengthening institutions, particularly oversight institutions. And sometimes I see people say the government is not serious in fighting corruption. It is far from the truth. This government is the most serious government in fighting corruption. I'll tell you why. See, fighting corruption alone in a democracy, and before I just go to that, fighting corruption in a democracy is different from fighting corruption in an autocracy. We need to take note of that. Now, fighting corruption in a democracy doesn't only entail arresting, prosecuting, and jailing people. It's not enough. What it also, the most important crucial component is building the processes and the systems that can make sure that people don't engage in corruption, and you don't create the right environment for people to engage in graft. And this is what this government is doing. We've strengthened institutions. We've strengthened the National Audit Office. We've come up with new procurement laws. We've come up with new PPP laws. The PACPEC, is working hard. The reason why most of these things come out now, you see National Assembly holding ministers to account, asking questions, forming committees, investigating suspected cases of fraud. So this is democracy, and this is functioning. It means the government is taking these things seriously, and the institutions are functioning. With the instruments, the legal instruments, they're important, and that's what we are building. For example, some of them are outdated. The traffic, I think it's called the Transport Act, is 1948. The Immigration Act is 1940-something. Now, you have an act, a legal instrument, which you, from 1940s, before independence, that you are using in 2025. I mean, it doesn't work. That is why we have these problems. And I was discussing this with some colleagues about this drifting problem. When these young kids get these cars and they drift, it causes accidents. The government is going to take a very strong stance against this, because this is not only public nuisance, it's a public safety concern, and government will take a very tough stance against this. But what I'm telling you is that there are limitations in what the executive can do, because the Motor Traffic Act says that these kind of activities, dangerous driving, is the fines are $1,000, is $2,000. So the laws are not there. So we are working on the instruments as well to make sure that we create legal instruments that are fit for the 21st century, but that are also fit for the current demographic, cultural, political, economic context of this country. So these are the 3 I's that we are focused. That is infrastructure, building the foundations of infrastructure, building and also strengthening institutions that have been decaying, but also making sure that we create new legal instruments, or also amend legal instruments to make sure that this country is put on a path to transformative development.
Okay, so when you say some institutions, have become obsolete and unfit for purpose, that's what you mean? I mean,
yes, some were not functioning. I mean, the National Audit Office wasn't really playing the role it's supposed to play in a democratic society before. Now we are seeing it. This is one of the examples. The PACPEC wasn't also functioning properly. So they were either bypassed or they were left obsolete. But now we're seeing that this government is reviving these institutions, even building also new institutions. For example, there was no institution called the ATI Access to Information. Citizens could not access information if they wanted to.
What has ATI done since it came to being? Marty Jobate would say that, it doesn't serve any purpose.
Well, I'll send the chairwoman, Madam
Nene
Magdol, come and have a discussion with you, and he'll tell the Gambian people what they've been doing since they were sworn in. I think she would be the better person to tell her, but I know they're doing a lot behind the scenes because, I mean, they have a lot of work to do. They do advocacy, they take cases and they deal with them, and they also do some capacity building. Because remember, Peter, see, we need to understand the context within which we are operating. There was no access to information law before. There was a period in this country, and culture, when it is embedded in institutions, to change that culture is a process. If a culture is embedded in a system for over 20 years, you don't expect that culture to be changed within 8 years. Now, I'll tell you where I'm trying to reach at. You have a culture in the civil service or in the public service for 20 years where giving the right information to the wrong person can take you to mile 2 straight away, with no opportunity to go and defend yourself, mile 2 straight away. That culture was instilled in the civil service. There was this fear that the right information to the wrong person can take you to jail. Now, all of a sudden, there's a law which says public officials, as information holders, you need to give information to the public when they demand it. But that culture is there. So we need to reorient the civil servants, understand that now they are operating in a democracy, and this is what the law says, and that takes a lot of training and orientation, and the ATI is also sometimes focusing on the training and orientation with public servants, with information holders, and this is a process. You don't expect things to just change overnight. There's a process, and this process is ongoing. The most important thing is that the law is in, we are working hard, we are training civil servants, we are orienting them to understand that now operating in a democratic system is different from operating in an autocratic system. And by the way, just as a footnote to what I'm trying to say, I've seen that even Yanko Badabo of Brikama Area Council has accepted and admitted that democracy, Gambia is democratic state. In his response to Made Jobate, this morning I saw it on Facebook, he said that speaking your mind in a democratic state like Gambia, why should that be an issue for Mahdi? I mean, even the opposition is accepting that President Barrow really is presiding over a serious democratic
congratulations then to President Barrow.
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations are in order. So even Yanks, according to you, is admitting that we are in a democracy. Very good.
Yes.
Very, very good. While we are still on this, is this still part of the retreat? Yes. So, I mean, you said it was convened by President Barrow,
yes.
But were there invited, people from outside to come and maybe share ideas with them?
Yes, two people. First is the Chief of Protocol. He made a presentation on protocol issues. Protocol is dynamic. It's important.
When I say from outside, I thought outside the country.
No. Cabinet. No, it's outside of cabinet.
I know he's not part of
cabinet. It's not part of cabinet.
I know he's
anybody
not
who's not part of cabinet who comes is an outsider. Right. The National Security Advisor also came and did a presentation. But this is not normal in cabinet because cabinet is only attended by cabinet ministers and the president and the vice president. So Chief of Protocol and national outside the protocol of cabinet. So when they come and do a presentation, obviously, these are outsiders for us within the context of cabinet. So they did some very fantastic presentations. The national security advisor making a presentation on Gambia's security sector reforms and how far we've gone and what are the plans ahead.
What do you mean how far we have gone? Have we gone far at all?
Of course we've gone far. And
security service sector reform, I mean, it's one of the most controversial issues about the, transitional process.
It is not. I think if people understand what security sector reform is about, it's not a destination, it's a process. And this process,
it could last forever.
On.
This process,
yeah, of course, yes,
because it could last forever.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's not a destination.
Right.
There's no period where you say the security sector reform has ended. No, it continues because as a society changes, demographics change, threat perceptions change, and therefore security sector reforms can continue. The most important thing is that there are new legal frameworks that never existed before. There's a new defense policy. There are national security strategies, national security policies. All this never existed before. And now we've brought the security under civilian control. And that is how it should be in a democratic state. We've seen so much discipline within the security and armed forces now. Just how it should be in a democratic state. That is what is happening. So all this is success of the security sector reform. So for me, I don't see what makes this controversial. You don't expect a
because
problem
maybe
like
to most Gambians, it had a timeline, even though such a thing was never announced. They just thought that, well, just like the TRRC was to last for a period, the CRC was to last for a period, all of the commissions were to last for a period.
What these are commissions?
Security service, reform was also to be conducted within.
But these are commissions with specific TORs.
Well, these were all actions that were being taken.
Yes.
These were all actions that were being taken, to ease us, completely out of dictatorship to this democracy that we are now, talking about and boasting about.
Yes, what I'm saying is that there are different approaches. The commissions had different specific time frames with specific TORs and scopes of work. Now, when it comes to security sector reforms, this is expanding. This is not like specific commissions. It's different. So we need to confuse these two.
That's clear.
Like I said, it is not a destination. There is no you can say, okay, we are over now, security sector, and we all go home and sleep. No. The reform process still will continue because we are ushering the country into a democratic era. And that means that we need to consolidate our democracy, which by and large can still be fragile because it's still new. The transition is still ongoing. So you cannot expect people to come out and say, oh, we are announcing, hooray, security sector reform is over, let's all go home and sleep. It doesn't work like that.
Okay, all right. And that's it for updates.
Yes, and then final update, Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Food Security launched three major agricultural initiatives costing almost $68.4 million. This will support agriculture.
Is that a loan or what?
I'm not sure. I need to find out. Some of these can be concessional loans whereby...
A loan is a loan. It has to be paid.
Yeah, or grant. It depends. Sometimes it has
if it's a grant,
components.
That's okay.
Yeah. But I need to find out the source of the fund. But I know that they've launched this $68.4 million project to empower Gambian farmers through access to resources, training and technology, but also to enhance national food security and agricultural productivity. The president himself launched this last week, Tuesday.
Fantastic.